Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Friday, July 4th, 2025. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Hopefully it is a safe and good one for everyone tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look out really quick. Who the heck we still have in our audience right now? Who is out there? Let's take a look. Let's welcome in Andy W. Anton Ghost is here along with Azrael Aries as part of the show. We've got Brennan England and Cat and Digger Dog. We've got JB, Kathy, and Kelly Brote with those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. Maritime Unprepared is here along with Megan Betts, Mr. Grimlock, and Mr. Catfish, 2100, Yerp. PC Anderson's here along with Peggy and her South Florida friends. Good to see you, my dear lady. Hugs and kisses to Steve. Let's see who else we have out there. We have Pop Will Eat Itself, Ryo Dragon. Sam's here along with Shelly Montgomery. Snarf McGrew is around. We've got Steve Hines, the Super Unknown, the Chromosome Cowboy, Truck and Pawpaw, and of course, from Idaho, let's welcome in our friends of Two Midgets and a Horse. How about that? What a great show ahead of us today on this, well, special day that I think majority of us, Mike, have the day off. Welcome, my friend. How are you doing tonight? That's right. You may or may not be available at certain times today, just so everybody knows. Yes, it's the 4th of July, and Mr. Superdad here has got a bunch of kids. They want to see the fireworks. And there you are. Hey, Mike.
But as I didn't want to unmute because it sounds like I'm in the middle of a Vietnam War right now. But yeah, happy 4th of July, my friend.
No, not a problem. We're expecting to hear the explosions and things going off in the distance on the 4th of July. Well, if we're talking about explosions and fireworks, there's a new video that came out today of a fireworks warehouse explosion that happened earlier today in Esparto, California. Let me go ahead and bring this one up. This one looks kind of cool. Desktop only. Desktop. I'm looking for the one that's just me. Here we go. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and play this clip coming to us from our friends over on X. And it's not Twitter anymore, thank God. Yeah, we're a lot better than we used to be. Let's go ahead and play this little clip of the big explosion. Oh, yeah, they've got the music making it a lot more dramatic and stuff going in. But wowzer. Granted, it didn't go ahead and break the windows. Still, it's not the earth-shattering kaboom, but it's still a kaboom, eh, Mike? Yeah, of course.
Oh, you can hear the kaboom going on.
Oh, yeah. You got to have some fun with, my friend. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in Disclosure. We've got a bunch of small tidbits to go ahead and cover. Our next video is actually coming to us. We all like videos and such. Our next video we've got coming to us is coming from Kyle Vidmar over on X. It looks like he has got a Psionic Sport or Aurora camera that he's recording. And while there's a couple things moving around within the video, let's go ahead and check this one out next. Where did that go again? Document solo. Let's go ahead and bring this next video. Actually, let me leave it there. Let's get down to, I'll take it full screen. Let's go ahead and play this one for our audience. Let's just make our Twitter views. We like playing stuff from Twitter. It makes it a little safer, saying we just didn't steal someone's feed from YouTube. So let's play this little clip here. So this is the object we're watching. Interesting, it's kind of moving up on an angle to a degree. We've got something that also is moving like a satellite in that same direction. Now, as it's moving towards, make sure the audio is coming across. Yeah, as it's moving course, as people move their position with an object in the back, it can look like it's stalling or potentially changing directions. But yeah, whatever he's got here is close. And while we don't have footage coming in from other services to go ahead and identify, if we potentially have a plane or another object off in the distance, is always helpful to know. But still, I'll take it. Nothing like seeing some things moving around the sky that we're not that clear of exactly what we're looking at. Let me jump back into... Where was I at? Here we go. Let's move on. What else we've got going on? All right. This is too big for people to miss, and I've got a couple clips on this one. Apparently, Mike, we have a third interstellar object that's coming into our solar system at this point.
Yes, and from all accounts, it is supposed to be much larger than the previous two, including a Muamua.
Yes, this one is miles across. Miles across is what the estimation currently is. Interesting enough, though, this object, Mike, was picked up by the... Why isn't that working? Their interplanetary defense.
Yes.
That's been put together. I believe that's coming out of United Nations, isn't it?
It is.
Is this object exhibiting the same characteristics as a Muamua, where it's like changing course and speed?
Nothing yet, and it's not like it's slingshotting around our planet as well. Now, this is the third interstellar object that we've had. Apparently, there was another one that came after a Muamua that no one paid attention to. That one was more of like a traditional comet, but apparently they're becoming a little bit more frequent as we set our eyes to the sky. But yeah, you can see how it's going across. It's going to come close to Jupiter.
I told him from inside the house. I didn't tell him to go in front. He's in front.
Let me, there we go. And there's some drama. Now reporting onto it from Mike's backyard. Sorry, my friend. Yeah, it's going to come close, as you can see it as we get to it. It comes close to Mars. Pretty close to Mars there. If I pause that for 1 second, this is the object. This is Mars coming into it, and that object is, well, just kind of taking a shortcut through our solar system. So again, something else to go ahead and talk. Oh yeah, we'll probably should be able to cover this one in a bit. Starbase City will be hosting its first ever 4th of July fireworks celebration at the Boca Chica Beach with support from SpaceX. So this one should be good. We'll have to keep an eye on X to see if it's there. And it's probably something we can be able to cover. I don't think that Elon Musk would look at the opportunity to go ahead and lose press on that one. Let me find SpaceX's account. Here we go. And if they're going to be doing their fireworks, nope, it's not even on their site. What the hell is this? So, all right, SMX. Open that in a new window. We'll keep an eye on it to see when are they going to have their fireworks. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next story. Let's get back into the studio on this one. All right. Well, you know what? There's American flags in it, Mike. And as we're getting to disclosure, which there isn't a lot of news, we're talking about space and other things that are going on in latest news. Well, whether you like him or not, he is our director of health. We're talking about Secretary RFK Jr. Let me bring this up here just for pictures and giggles only. Guest desktop. Here we go. Secretary Kennedy, ultra processed food. Oh, this is a long one. Here we go. As ultra processed foods have taken over our diets and pharmaceutical profits have corrupted our healthcare system, this country has lost the most basic of freedoms. The freedom that comes from being healthy. But right now, there's an new American revolution underway to rebuild a food and medical system that will be worthy of your trust. I invite you to join the revolution by making healthy choices yourselves for you and your family. Happy Independence Day. Great message from our head of HHS, and that's something we need to be looking for is, Mike, it's amazing how all of a sudden all the cereal companies and all these junk food companies are magically taking all these toxic dyes out of their foods.
About fucking time that they did it.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. I know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I know we do have some UFO news, but one last thing on the way there. We got to play it. We got a 4th of July parade here featuring a Corgi. Everyone loves Corgis. Everyone loves dogs, although he's getting old and he's slowing down a bunch. He is still making it to the end of the parade route. Thanks to our little friend who could, and the people on X who have gone and shared it with us. We all love dogs, so, 4th of July and dogs kind of goes together on that one. All right. Here's a big chunk of news, Mike, that we definitely need to bring up on this one. It's something that's kind of hanging out there saying, what the hell is going on? Whatever happened to Mike? Yeah. Where's it at? And bring it in here. Desktop. Not the war room. Desktop only. Nope. Where'd it go? Here we go. Whatever happened to the age of disclosure? It's generally frustrating. Yeah, it's generally frustrating that the age of disclosure isn't publicly available. I understand the reasonings, whether it's distribution rights, legal clearance, or a strategic rollout, but it doesn't make it any less irritating. This is precisely the kind of content that deserves to be a part of the wider public conversation. Where did that go? Conversation, especially given the current climate around the phenomenon. That it's dying. The more people who can access it, the better equipped we are to make sense of what's unfolding. Rumor has it, Mike, that talking about the age of disclosure, there were possibilities to go ahead and bring this out to streaming platforms like Apple or Netflix or perhaps Amazon. But the director wouldn't take it. He wanted to have a theatrical release. And look where it got him.
Yeah, some greedy bastard was really looking to cash in because they have delusions of being the next Steven Spielberg. So they held up on any type of streaming because they have a theatrical release, even though the subject is really cooling down right now.
Yeah. It's a sad situation, to say the least. We wish this could come forward. Now, Dan Farah, if anyone has seen the aerial phenomenon, the James Fox movie that came out, I believe he was the director or producer on that one, so he was heavily involved with it. He's almost competition for what's going on with from James Fox, but looks like James Fox got the distribution deal for his stuff to be shown on Netflix, and Dan couldn't pull it off. What?
No, because Dan didn't want the same deal that James Fox had. He wants to be a big deal and have a big theatrical release, but the movie studios had no intention on backing that because it would require millions of dollars in marketing alone to promote it. That's that issue.
Yeah.
So it seems like the Age of Disclosure documentary is probably going to die on a shelf in obscurity.
Yes. Unfortunately so. It's something that everyone was saying. It's better than sliced bread, but if you can't get it to market, it's just going to sit on the shelf, dry out, and potentially mold.
Exactly. So it's not good, my opinion, but it's his choice to find out the hard way.
Yes, absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Well, keeping our eyes to the sky for, videos and movies about the phenomenon. Well, I hate to say it, Mark Snow, the composer of the X-Files, unfortunately passed on today. Let's go ahead and play a little 5-second clip. That's about all we can play without getting in trouble. Yes, unfortunately, we can wish him... Tell us what you know. Tell us from beyond the grave. Is there an afterlife? We would love to know. Add your comments in the show below. Sorry, I had to do that. But yeah, we lose people all the time, my friends. But it's just when time does move on. There we go. It's best to cover on it. Now, this is recovered. This is reported earlier today by Vocaholic, someone who likes to cover volcanoes and such. And let me bring this one up because I've never seen this before. I don't think to this extent. All right. Wow. Reportedly, this is ball lightning. Here's the thing. They're calling it ball. I've never seen ball lightning before. And you can see it. All right, I tell you what, let me go ahead and download this. It'll be a little bit easier for audience to go ahead and check out it. Is it a ball lightning, or are we looking at potentially an orb? It's hard to know. So let me go ahead and open the external application. Let me bring this clip up here, move it off of here for a second. Coming to us from global news. But if I want to go ahead and zoom in on this, let's get a closer view of what the hell it is we're looking at. So off in the distance, we've got a big spherical ball of something going on over there. And then you can kind of see it. It's slowly moving along the ground from left to right. Going along the ground a bit more before it's going to go ahead and fade. Uh-oh. Why did they go down to there? Come on. Did they do that really? I don't want to see her face. I want to see the ball lightning. So that's the end of the ball lightning. And then I think it comes up the person who actually saw it. There she goes there for a sec. She changed her camera around. So let's get past her putting the camera around. As we can see, as it continues to move to the left, let's zoom in a bit more on this. And let me slow this down. View, playback speed. Let's take it by half. That way I can keep on adjusting as it's going across. And as it's moving along, there she goes. We're zooming in on it as we can see it. Some birds in the foreground moving along, moving back to the left as it appears, staying together, and then it just fades out. But as it fades out, that was really interesting because it's, oh, come on. Don't zoom. Don't do that. Come on. Spot, get past her head really quick. Come on. Damn it. Okay. Zoom it over here. Let me just get to that point. Zoomed out. Yeah, I know. Come on, Thomas. There we go. It flares up. Goes down. That one goes away. No, let me get to the big fat head. All right. Sorry, people. You don't have fat heads. But I could have sworn when it would fade it out, when you would zoomed it in. Don't want to see that part. There's the insects. Let's try and get this a little bit. There we go. I got it. I found it. Okay. So, ball lightning, mysteriously enough, Mike, has 3 objects that are creating it.
Really? That's interesting.
Right there on the screen. So whatever
it is.
So there's the object.
They're interacting. Yeah.
Being in its full size, and then as it goes to fade out, you got 3 objects left. When something usually would fade down, you figured you go down to 1, you know, but so they're calling it ball lightning because that would be the thing that most debunkers would call it, but based on what I'm seeing here, I have to leave this as a question mark. It could be real. What do you think, Mike?
It could be real. Whatever it is, it sure felt interesting to me. I haven't seen anything like that before.
No, I haven't.
Neither have I.
Let's just ask the audience. Video is natural phenomenon, and I misspelled phenomenon. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do a quick survey with our audience, which means I need to get my sound effects turned on. Let's go ahead and see where our audience takes it. All right, audience. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds, please.
All right, 1 minute and 30 seconds. Starting.
Well, look what we have there. Where is the... All right, with just 1 minute 19 left to go, just 28 votes in. So far, 45% of our audience appears split, Mike. 42% of our audience thinks it's a natural phenomenon, while 56% of our respondents in the audience are saying it's NHI with just a minute left, 38 votes in. Where do you think this could go? There we go, 60-40.
To be honest with you, it could be natural or it could be NHI UAP.
Right.
It's really hard to say.
The thing for me is there was nothing on the outside to make it look like it had an electrical charge, and when it went to go ahead and go away, having three objects in a triangular formation. Kind of reminds me more of something from the non-human intelligence than it actually sounds like, something that's natural. We do have the recliner in chief, I believe, is back there. Ed, what do you think?
I think it looks like three dots. That's what I think.
How would you vote with just 15 seconds left?
I'm going to say it is real.
NHI or natural phenomenon?
NHI.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. 5 seconds left to go. Votes. Our folks, look at that. We had 56 votes in. I'll take it. 58 votes in. Our audience wound up at 60%. I'll take that. That's the number I was looking for. I was in shopping with 60 votes in. We hit 60%. Natural phenomenon. Yeah. It's good to check it out. More than half.
Smart audience, too.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Speaking of the audience, my chat unloaded itself. That's why it's not responding. Oh, that's a screen grab. Oh, there it is. We're doing so good. We got... There we go. There's our chat back again. We're up and going. Is this going again, though? Oh, no. Yeah, it's going. Good. We've got it. Montgomery Broom. No. Shelly, you're talking about my ex-wife's car, but thank you. All right, let's go ahead and see where we're going to next. Yeah, we got a bunch of smorgasbord things. No, YouTube, I don't want to add any more ads. You know how bad it is, Ed, for YouTube going ahead and adding ads after the show is over? At this point, it will place an ad of once every 4 minutes at a minimum. We have to go in after the show is over and after YouTube has the time to process it to go ahead and kill all the ads. And yes, sometimes I've forgotten to do that, folks, but we do try to get there. Oh God, someone brings up about crop duster drones. Oh God, I got a bunch of crop dusting things to go ahead and show the audience right now. Let's get back to the desk for a second. And where in the hell is Brave? I need to be brave. There it is. Get over there. Probably not it. All right, so I've got a bunch of things talking about brooms and weather and such. Get to the bottom. It's probably better to go through my, what do you call it? Here we go. Yeah, okay, we're almost there. Almost there. Jesus, there's a lot of stuff that's gone on since our last show, Mike. Holy crap.
Yeah, it seems like it. There have been things moving forward.
Oh, yeah. All right. All right, let's just stop here and we'll just start going through stuff a tweet at a time or different things that I've captured for this news update. Let's get into it. Guest full. No, desktop. All right, here we go. There's been a bunch of sprites. That's all these red things that have been seen lately. We've got some other ones that have been showing up. Potentially, this could be a result of global warming or something else, but we're seeing a lot more of these in the upper atmosphere. It was just about 4 to 5 years ago that these things were called fake. They weren't real. People didn't know what they're talking about, but now they're getting seen by pilots of planes, and even one of the latest sightings we'll see in a bit, it's actually coming to us from the International Space Station. What the hell? How did I get there? Oh yeah, that's why. Bookmarks again. Oh, son of a bitch. Let's go down again. Where was I just at? Yes, down there. Way down here. A lot of shit that's going on. Sprites. Oh yeah, so has anyone seen season 6, episode 5 of Skinwalker Ranch?
No, I have not.
Apparently, when they brought in a new cutting edge technology to study that bubble that's over the ranch, and they brought it up, Mike. There are 4 orbs or 4 craft sitting right in that area that are not visible to the human eye or any of the other systems they've had so far.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, while we can be we can be a little bit skeptical of what goes on Skinwalker Ranch. I'm looking forward to see what's going to go. Oh, we got a super chat that just came in. Let's go ahead and address this. There's super chats waiting for me. I haven't even seen this. Let's go ahead and take a look in reverse order. First one is, have you seen what Army... Let me turn that off. The auto is off. Okay. Have you seen what Army Secretary Dan Driscoll said on Fox News something 3 weeks ago? Yes. Where there were potentially we had soldiers up on the moon. And no one in the mass media who was at that press conference has even balked about it. And no one's even come back to ask the question of what the hell was going on. It seems a bit far stretched. Mike?
Right. Yeah, no, it's very strange.
Yeah.
Of how they're choosing to handle this. I agree.
Right. We'll see where it goes. We can't say either way. We don't have the information, but to say that we've got men from the Army on the moon right now is I think it's a bit of a far stretch. Especially when we're still dealing with rockets like Elon Musk and everything. It's not like you can just pop there instantly. Michael Sokoloff, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, we had a discussion about this in the back chat a while ago, and the secretary misspoke. He meant the ISS, that one of the astronauts was also in the military. Of course, we joked about it a lot, had a good laugh, but there are no soldiers on the moon.
Yeah, did not quite, yeah, exactly misspoken, and honestly, what we're dealing with, the guy didn't exactly come across as the sharpest pencil in the box. So,
obviously not.
Yes.
Not misspoke. Yeah.
Oh, misspoke. Yes, misinformation, disinformation. Yeah, it's probably misinformation. Well, he just said the wrong dang thing. That's about it. Oh, I put my hand up. I need to put my hand down. There we go. Just trying to get this set up in the back so I can manage people putting their hands down. All right, let's go ahead and move on. On our next tweet that we've got that we're going to be covering, going through the reversed order. Bunch of really interesting tornadoes have been going on lately. Holy cow. Actually, we have more super chats. Another one from Mr. Grimlock. Thank you all for working on a holiday. Thank you for joining us for the happy 4th of July. And happy Independence Day, coming from Anonymous Rex. And I believe there was one more super chat that I missed at the start of the show when I accidentally put that was an option. I thought there was an option here. I could see something called fan funding. It used to be an option coming from there. Oh, well, there was someone who gave us a super chat at the start of the show. I'll find that and thank you before the show's over. Yeah, I lost that footage and everything. So let's go ahead and move on. So this came up, I guess, that Tim Phillips recently did go ahead and disclose that a helicopter removed Tic-Tac radar information from the USS Princeton in 2004. Now, this backs up the statements that Dave Beatty had brought out back at that time, coming from the E2 people who are on the E2 Hawkeye, talked about the people in their black outfits that came on the actual E2 Hawkeye and pulled the data bricks and then took them away and made the people who are on the E2 Hawkeye, based on their up-close encounter, to go ahead and sign NDAs to go ahead and prevent that information coming out. So while Tim Phillips, Mike, has been making a lot of press for all the different places he's been going, it's nice to see some confirmation of things that happened with the Nimitz incident. And more importantly, it's just not stuff trying to debunk it. It's giving us a little bit of additional information that I think that it's well overdue.
Well, I agree. On one hand, he's confirming the event and what took place. But on the other hand, if you look very closely, the devil is always in the details. He's trying to come up with an excuse that DARPA was conducting an experiment on board the Princeton, and that's why they came to recover the data bricks. Nothing to do with the Tic-Tac incident. So that was his excuse.
Well, he had
Which is
said
wrong.
there was actually a sortie out to the USS Princeton where DARPA scientists dressed in black did land and did recover data. He went on to say the Third Fleet was out there for that exercise, and they did realize there was some unusual stuff going down. The Third Fleet staff actually directed that data to be recovered. Those data bricks with the radar plots was discovered and flown back to the Third Fleet headquarters in San Diego and subsequently transferred to Dahlgren, where they have those labs, and the footage was unfortunately lost. But it's not just the footage from the actual Princeton system that they had just turned on. It also came from the upgraded telemetrics that they have coming out of the E2 Hawkeyes, which is our eyes in the sky.
Exactly.
And the Tic-Tac was literally hovering right alongside that craft. So as the E2 Hawkeye is moving forward, all of a sudden, the Tic-Tac was on the one side of the plane. If you're looking towards the front, was on the left side of the plane. It instantly then appeared on the right side of the plane. And from there, it just vanished and it was gone. And after it had left close proximity to that E2 Hawkeye, they were called to come in and land. So it sounds like putting them out there was definitely something that they were pushing for to find the truth. And I'm glad because, you know what, Mike? I've known this story since a couple months of it actually happening, coming from Aaron Heberlin, who was a AT, an aviation technician, in the back of that E2 Hawkeye. Now, his job was in case any of the equipment broke down, his job was to fix it mid-flight.
Right. And he was a witness while this occurred.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this had happened in when? November of, was it 2004?
November 2004, yeah.
November 2004. I had heard about this when he came home for Christmas.
Right.
20 feet from where I'm sitting right now, right out in my garage.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's been going on, and they've been covering it up the entire time.
Ever since. But at least talking about the data bricks and everything.
Right.
It finally came out as fact. So what it does is corroborates the information that I was told, and also more important, the information that Dave Beatty was told.
Yeah, it's confirmation.
Yeah.
Even if it's coming from a bad actor or a bad source from the government.
So when can we get confirmation about the information that Sean Cahill or Senior Chief Day or myself have talked about, where the Tic-Tac situation happened over multiple weeks, almost 2 weeks?
Was it a week? I thought that Kevin Day had said it was going on for about a week. Didn't he say that, Mike, or did he say 10 days?
More than a week. It was like more than a week.
It was. I think it was. He said about a week, and there were over 100 craft. Was it 80 or 100 craft, Mike?
Yeah, we were seeing them. We were seeing them fleet wide back then on all coasts, East Coast, West Coast. The entire Navy knew about it. So I feel like if the entire public knew that the entire Navy knew about the Tic-Tac situation back then, it'd be a bigger deal. The more questions.
Oh gosh, yes.
Needed.
Yeah. Marcus Mandel, we agree. AARO can go fuck themselves, but I'm so disappointed, not surprised, but disappointed. Well, that's the thing with AARO. We all had our hopes out when the first legislation came through to put this organization together. They talked about having a team of scientists and technologists that they could take and to deploy on a moment's notice to any different location in the United States or the world, for that matter, that may be having current encounters going on with the non-human intelligence, so they could go and accurately survey this situation as it was happening live. That's not what we got. What we got was Operation Blue Book 2.0, where they're going to look for every possible excuse to deny what was actually being seen. Oh, there's other news about that we can't talk about yet, but there's some interesting things coming our way.
Yet.
I know. It is
interesting.
It is interesting. And there's more interesting things that we can't talk about. But Ashes, you have your hand up, my dear lady. Meow.
Don't you have another word for that? Operation Blue Balls, right?
I like it. That works as well.
I mean, because they keep that's how I think most of the people that are on this side of disclosure feel, is they keep kind of giving us little bits and pieces, but then they take it away.
Yeah, they give us little bits and tidbits of pieces, but I have to say this. From our observations, Tim Phillips likes to drink. And when he's on a lot of the different shows, he kind of lets some additional things. I mean, he's right in front of his bar downstairs either way. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But he gets a little friendly, and some stuff comes out where they actually have to bring in Sean Kirkpatrick to go ahead and back him up. Another piece, I'm not sure if I'll find it, was that as RO dealing with the stuff as part of the records, they found a bound book containing all the MJ-12 documents.
You know who else we should get on that is James O'Keefe, because he seems to do really well about like getting these nice girls on dates and then getting the guys all loosened up with some liquor, and that's usually when they spill the beans.
Sometimes it's a guy taking a guy out, so you never know where that's going to potentially going to go.
Taste is there.
Yeah. But it's just about bringing out the truth. That's what we want. Forget about the drama and everything else, about the denials. Okay, back to the conversation of what was going on with MJ-12. Thank you for reminding me, Marcus and the Mandels. So they found, I'm sure I've got this as a tweet up ahead we can cover, but from what I remember reading through it is that Tim Phillips also let the cat out of the bag and exposed that and going through their record searches and everything, they got a hard book bounded book of MJ-12 talking about a lot of different stuff in MJ-12, and as such, Kirkpatrick, I think, who maybe was still involved at that time, went out and went to some debunkers to go ahead and talk. Well, maybe not debunkers. Well, the kind of people that Sean Kirkpatrick would go out to, go ahead and say, well, what we found, that was kind of already out in the public sphere, but it's not real. So we're not going to bring out the bound version of it that we found. We're going to bring out the stuff that we found on the internet. Clearly a cover-up. And it's heading our way thanks to AARO. All right, so let's get back to our next piece here. What else do I have? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, here's Dave Beatty. Love you, Dave. I was the one that broke the story back in 2018 with PJ Hughes and Gary Voorhees. Yes, talking about the guys in the black outfits. But, yeah, I've known about this one since 2004. November, December. Yeah, actually in December. So, yeah, glad to know that the truth is actually coming out. Oh, here's something. Well, it may or may not be actually there, but if you feel like you're depressed, you're not feeling the greatest, you've got problems with your blood pressure, a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't realize that we all have a deficiency in magnesium. Even if you take multivitamins, trust me, it's not enough. In this particular study that they did, they took 6,000 people between the ages of 43 and 70. They gave one group of people 350 milligrams of magnesium a day, and the other group 550 milligrams. What they found was that the group who took 550 milligrams improved cognitive ability, improved memory, and decreased risk of dementia by as much as 41%. Wow. This is just what some is reporting, and it may not be exactly right. I have been a big proponent specifically on taking magnesium. A lot of people are on antidepressants. Why? Potentially because they have a deficiency in magnesium. And the doctor is happy to go ahead and give you pills to take. But sometimes it's just a missing mineral. If we only had that handbook from someone who created us saying, this is what humans need, it would make our life so much easier. Would you look at that? We've got some more super chats coming in. Who do we got? One coming in from Gringo Suave. Cheers for streaming the 4th of July. Pop some tags, Tomic. Okay. Sounds like a plan. I'm not sure what pop some tags mean. Turn up my mic. No, my mic is fine, but is it the mic in the back that you're hearing? Not good enough. So let me check the mic in here. No, you've got the right mic. You have to turn up your volume, my friend. I've already got it cranked up. All right, let's go ahead and I hate having bad audio. We got another super chat that just came in from Brian Pemble. We need big, beautiful disclosure. I would say so. The BBD, the big, beautiful disclosure. Absolutely, bring it on. And then Ashes on Air. Happy 4th disclosure tonight, team and family. Thank you very much. Appreciate that for the super chats. All right, let's get back to the news. Remember, magnesium, really important. Really fucking important. Oh, what did I screw up here? Let's get to our next. Let's go to what we have coming up here next. All right. Swan, love you, my friend. He actually came out with a tweet where he wasn't swearing, wasn't upset, and articulated himself really well. Let's see what he has to say. We're talking about the Mosul orb clip that came out recently. The Mosul orb clip is part of a larger collection of clips from Jay Stratton's classified UAPTF presentation in 2020. In addition to a brief introduction to the UAP phenomenon, it contains several clips to include the Mosul orb. Where's it at? Mosul or okay, UAP zipping past fighter jets with pilots saying they look like flying sperm. Information about UAP hovering over the Russian ships and more. Additionally, separate video clips with full HD or better resolution of transmedium UAP continue to be collected by the DoD and IC sensors and hidden from the American public by the way of perpetual classification. Continued secrecy will only continue to breed confusion and distrust of the United States government. People in the know will continue to provide the American public with the truth, even if key leaders in the DoD and intelligence community think the public should be treated as sheep. Enough is enough. Wow. It actually touches my heart on that one. Great writing, my friend. Thank you very much for bringing that to us. All right, let's jump out of this post and see what else we have to cover next. Mike, you around? Should we?
The whole time. I'm just.
Do you want? Should we cover this tweet from Ivan today? Because this is a prelude till tomorrow, or leave it for tomorrow?
No. You know what? We can cover Ivan's post, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty tomorrow.
Okay.
But he'll be here to join us, so we'll be able to have an in-depth discussion with him on this. But yeah, we could give the audience a preview.
All right.
Coming for tomorrow.
So, in an interview, Tim Phillips was asked whether UAP caucus was helping or hindering UAP investigations. Phillips deflected, instead accusing an unnamed individual of attempted extortion, claiming the person threatened to take UAP-related materials abroad unless compensated, prompting AARO to involve the FBI. Phillips stated that the individual possessed physical material and described him as unstable and potentially dangerous. The individual in question is a patriotic American who, after having an experience with an advanced craft decades ago, conducted independent research and later approached Congress with concerns about national security vulnerabilities implicated by the presence of an advanced drone of unknown origins. Just remember, if this is 20 years ago, the drone was not in our vernacular, so we'll leave it as a craft. Although he met with the AARO leadership, including Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, he was met with hostility and accused of wrongdoing, despite attempting to raise legitimate concerns about possible unauthorized drone activity over the continental United States. He now finds himself in the untenable position of being implicitly accused of disloyalty. Despite the fact that his curiosity and efforts were always aimed at helping the United States confront the vulnerabilities in its advanced drone systems, or if these systems were not American, to alert Congress to potential surveillance or intrusion by foreign adversaries operating within the U.S. airspace. The recent Chinese balloon incident and the pattern of the East Coast drone sightings, particularly around New Jersey, should serve as a warning of scenarios that could enable decapitating first strike against military assets within the continental United States, similar to attacks witnessed in Russia and Iran. This individual seeks to clarify to Congress and AARO that his actions were motivated by a desire to serve and protect the country, not to undermine it. He believes that officials like Mr. Phillips are obstructing a full understanding of the threats in our airspace and the vulnerabilities they reveal. Wow, Mike, that is a mouthful.
Oh, it sure as hell is. That basically explains that what the government has been keeping secret has been going on now for decades. And we have a first-hand witness who's a client of Ivan's, who's trying to let everybody know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
One hell of a story.
Yeah. And that's actually... Yeah, go ahead.
Ivan is coming on to discuss this with us tomorrow.
Right. You know, there's been a high interest in drones, and if they're talking about some kind of an unmanned craft that it was encountered, 20 years ago, probably not a drone, but some kind of a craft that we're just not aware of.
Right, but it shows also that the U.S. has been in possession of advanced technology, like we saw over New Jersey when you and I were covering this. But This person is now telling us this has been going on for decades, that they've had this technology, which is amazing.
So we've got stuff that's out there, but the stuff that we've seen was developed like 20, 30 plus years ago. Imagine what we have that's in our roundhouse now and how it might behave compared to what our expectations are.
Right, because if this was decades ago that he had witnessed this advanced tech, I can only imagine where it is today. It has to have evolved.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why they've been keeping this secret. But the really funny thing is that when Mick West was interviewing Tim Phillips, that's when he addressed Ivan's witness, his client, not by name, but he was talking about that individual. But he also did an interview with Stephen Greenstreet from the New York Post, Tim Phillips. Mm-hmm. And he said when this came up that, oh, yeah, this is U.S. technology. He confirmed that. So he's, after all this time, he's actually confirming what the government has been lying about and keeping hidden. So he obviously can sometimes forget himself because he's no longer employed by the government, Tim Phillips, and slip certain things out. So,
right. Let's just play the first.
We'll talk about this tomorrow, yeah.
Let's just play the first couple seconds clip of here before Tim gets into it a little bit. Wait, before I do that, I have to go ahead and put the fair use on. There we go. Let's play this.
If I was frustrated by some of the claims made by witnesses to members of Congress. I know that we had people referred to us. One particular individual, we thought he was extorting us. We were either going to pay him for his knowledge or his materials, or he was going to take it to a foreign country.
Wow, that's a pretty tough allegation, Mike. He found stuff and he wanted to get paid for it. If not, he'd take it to another country.
Which was obviously a false allegation made by Tim Phillips.
Yeah.
Because if this was true, and this has been ongoing for decades now, Ivan's client would have been in jail a long time ago, and he isn't. So that's how valid the statement is that Phillips makes.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's in the records, stuff we want to cover. And we're going to be having an in-depth expose on that tomorrow. Let's get back to the next post we see before this. What is this one on? All right. So, Mike, the UAP Disclosure Fund, you remember them, don't you? They're still around, I think. Yeah. They have a historic merger that's coming out. They're joining forces Let's see now, advanced technology. Let's get into this. I'll read their press briefing coming about it. First, in National Security Daily, UAP Union, as Capitol considers the threat of UAP, 3 groups focused on the issue are merging to help continue to drive advocacy, pass legislation, and help protect whistleblowers on the issue. Our own Daniel Lipman writes in. So historically, the UAP community has been fragmented. Analysts say the union of 3 groups, which is the UAP Disclosure Fund, the Disclosure Advocacy Group, which I haven't heard of before, and the UAP Caucus could make their efforts more efficient. It could also improve whistleblower advocacy and better chances of passing legislation about UAPs. A Disclosure Fund, the UAP Disclosure Fund is a 501c4. Disclosure Advocacy Group represents whistleblowers and files FOIA requests. And the UAP Caucus is an online grassroots platform trying to build a potential constituency around the issue. Wasn't the online version of that set up by Lester Nair in the past?
Yes, you're right. It was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense since Lester is all in on UAP Disclosure Fund. But honestly, I haven't heard of the Disclosure Advocacy Group before.
Hey? No, I never heard of them either.
Right.
Must be a new group.
Right. Either way, if it's taking and bringing people together so they have one bigger staff to go after the goals and less administration to make the stuff work and everything, potentially if they're going under the 501c4 and they're getting money in, they're not going to have to worry about taxes and all that stuff because it'll all be covered by the UAP Disclosure Fund. But it sounds like it's more of, they're calling it a merger, but when is a merger just a merger? Usually it's an acquisition, isn't it?
9 times out of 10 times.
Yeah. Oh, why
So
now?
they're combining forces, it seems like.
Oh, yeah. How did my bookmarks keep on getting screwed up? So let's get into that one. Where are we at? All right, we talked about, Jordan Flowers. We got that one we have coming up next. Okay, Tilt of the Cloud. We've got that one. Well, I'm not going to get into the story because it's everything we've heard and talked about many times here. Elizondo just posted a retweet. There was an article that was put together in onthehill.com that was written by Christopher Mellon, Tim Gallaudet, and Merrick von Rennenkampf, covering the current state of disclosure. And did the Pentagon spread false UFO stories? I think what they're talking about the false UFO stories more than anything, Mike, is the problem that we have with the the U.S. Air Force, where they said they had some special access programs and they were supposedly reading people into it, but no, that wasn't real. That doesn't sound like hazing. This just sounds like they're trying to cover up something that they were actually doing. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. This is what they've been doing the entire time. Since they were formed in 1947, the U.S. Air Force and the National Security Act in 47.
Yeah.
No, they've been covering this. This is not a hoax or a hazing ritual. That's a complete bullshit. You and I both know.
Yeah. It sounds like yet another, if you want to call it, a Project Blue Book excuse for things that are going on.
Right. Well, it's kind of like AARO is Blue Book 2.0, right?
Yeah, and then some.
Oh, and then some is right.
Yeah. I want to welcome it. Go ahead.
Blue Book actually did a little bit more credible work than AARO has done so far to date. And I'll tell you why. We covered for a few days in a row the Australian intelligence that they did on the work Blue Book was doing in the 50s and 60s. And it was amazing, some of the information we found there, remember?
And they actually covered and said it was acting like it was a cover-up. So the Australians were watching us and reporting on the actions in the United States because they wanted to look for the next step of what's going to go on. If we can, Mike, one of our viewers is called in. Brian Pemble, you have your hand up?
Yeah, Thomas and Mike, thank you. And I know that Mike remembers this as well as Thomas. When Robert Salas was on here, he said it was a logic coupler, and which is located just beneath the nose cone that went bad in multiple nukes. And that's a heavily, heavily shielded piece of the guidance system. So that would just be insane to go and do that, because let me put this scenario in everybody's
Also,
head.
you're talking about the instance that Sean Kirkpatrick and the DOD are, and even Tim Phillips are denying the incidents that happened at Malmstrom Air Force Base, where a giant UFO
Correct.
came and hovered over the facility where the where the missiles were, and actually directed something and actually shorted out like 10 of our missiles or so at that location, right?
At the same time,
That's right.
instantaneously. And then Boeing
That's right.
did a bench test of each of those ICBMs, the Minuteman IIIs. They found that it was shorted by negative 10 volts from way below underground. We don't have the technology to do that even today, let alone back in '67. Right, Brian?
That's it. That's exactly right. And I can't remember if it was negative 10 or negative 8, but you're exactly right. A Boeing bench tested it, negative voltage. So do we have the EMP power in 67 to do that? The answer is no way, and you know what, that you wouldn't see a huge, I don't want to say a building, but a huge structure with something like that
Right.
going over 10 or maybe 8 of your ICBMs, and you wouldn't call that in. That's insane. So,
Right.
you know, the Wall Street Journal article is absolute baloney. And when you're messing with the logic coupler, the guidance system, how do you know that it can't go awry?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, one additional thing, if I could add into this, Brian, is the technology that was discussed by the Wall Street Journal at that time, and I probably came to them out of AARO, was technology that they actually started talking about in 1972. So the sightings at Malmstrom were in 1968, 4 years before that technology was ever envisioned to that point. Or maybe it was, but it wasn't deployed for potential use. So the claims we're getting from AARO, I'm sorry, the dates don't line up. You're talking about something that came out 4 years after this. So the events that are there, and they're worthy of further exploration.
That's exactly right, Thomas. And if I could just add one quick thing, I think they're using EMP as a scapegoat, because EMP weapons have come out in the last year or two. I mean, they've been around for a while, but they've been used on the Beast, which is where the President of the United States rides. So these things are known. So I think they're just bringing this out as a cover, as a scapegoat for what happened at Malmstrom.
Yeah. Absolutely. If we could, TBT, your hand is up in the back, my friend.
Hey, I just kind of wanted to add to the EMP thing. Like, the sun, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Carrington event or not, but the kind of electromagnetism that the sun generates could probably penetrate as far as you were talking about. That's the only thing I could really think of.
Yeah, but it didn't wipe out all the electronics. It only if you want to call it, burnt out a coupler that went to the actual guidance system. So it was a guidance system coupler that went and connected the the independent systems on the craft, and only that one coupler was shut down. And it basically shut down the ability for these things to be guided. Now, if it was something like a CME that came in, and we had like a Carrington, more like a Miyake event, which is like 500 times the strength of a Carrington, and those actually happen on a regular basis. And we're due for one of those too right now. Yeah, it would have burnt out everything in the bunker, in the missiles. It would have wiped us out. But great point, TBT. I appreciate you bringing that up. All right,
so
talking about...
It is technically possible.
It's technically possible.
Do we have the technology to do it?
It's technically possible, but it's improbable that it would only take and burn out the logic coupler and not all of the electronics on the particular missile.
Yeah, right. So it was more targeted.
Very targeted.
That's interesting.
Yeah. On 10 missiles at the same time.
Like a surgical strike that we can't do today with EMPs, let alone in 1967. No way in hell, Brian. So yeah, it's a bullshit story at face value. There's no denying it.
Yeah. Oh, Mike, I saw, since we're talking about video things, and I'm seeing some stuff in the chat remind me, I didn't capture it, but there was a video that someone had out where supposedly it had some kind of an alien thing that came out of a person was walking their dog. The dog freaked out and started going towards the dog, got a little afraid, and this giant, wasn't 10 foot tall, but I'd say the span of the legs was at least 10 feet, a huge freaking spider that potentially came out. While it's probably fake, you know, those 10 foot tall spiders, you know, are still a potentiality and a possibility. All right, getting back to space. All right, Matthew Capucci. Matthew Capucci, a good Italian guy, is bringing this out. Yes, the gigantic jet we talked about before. These are an extremely rare type of upper atmospheric lightning. But, you know, about 5-6 years ago, they said this stuff didn't exist and pilots were imagining things. But this is coming down from the International Space Station. Wow, wow, wow. It kind of shows you there's a lot of things that are starting to go on with our planet that are supposedly very rare. However, they're becoming a lot more frequent, but you never know where that's going to take us. Yeah, space weather, gotta love it. All right, this one's really cool. All right, deep in the picture of it, so you can see. Actually, let me open image, a new tab. I'll leave the picture up there. Let me get to this and I'll read about this. Okay. Deep in the New Zealand swamp, scientists discovered, let me get myself on here with it. You know what? I'm in here somewhere. Give me a second. So, here we go. Let me get rid of the chat here for a second. Bring this one up. Bring this up a little bit more so we can go ahead and show it. Because, you know, like, what the hell is this? Is the fucking plane? No, it's a log, but it's a special kind of log. So deep in the New Zealand swamp, scientists discovered an ancient Corgi tree that had been entombed for more than 40,000 years. Its trunk preserved like a wooden time capsule. But this wasn't just any prehistoric tree. Its rings revealed something extraordinary. It had lived through the Lestchamp excursion, a rare moment when the Earth's magnetic poles reversed. More alarming, however, was the period just before the flip, known as the Adams event, when the planet's magnetic field all but vanished, exposing the Earth to an onslaught of cosmic radiation. If I look at my time periods of when that potentially could have been, that might likely have been about 6,000 years. When the Adams event happened before the Lestchamp excursion. With Earth's magnetic shield weakened to as little as 0 to 6% of its normal strength, solar and cosmic radiation surged in, triggering global climate chaos. More importantly, it's called climate destabilization. Ice sheets expanded dramatically, storm systems rerouted, and once verdant lands like parts of Australia were swallowed by desert. Some researchers believe the event contributed to the extinction of the Neanderthals and forced early humans into caves for protection, where they began creating the earliest known symbolic art. These dramatic shifts suggest that the Adams event wasn't just a magnetic anomaly, it was a turning point in human history. Now, the ancient Corgi stands as both a relic and warnings. Its rings carry the silent testimony of a world on the edge, a reminder that our magnetic field is not permanent. If such collapses were to happen today, the consequences could be dire. Satellite failure, communication breakdowns, grid collapses, and a rapid shift in the climate. Yes, and we're heading that way already at this point, because what gets warm gets pretty cold really fast. Where is this at? If such a collapse were to happen today, the consequences would be dire. Yes, they would be. This tree, long dead, still speaks, whispering across the ages of the fragility of the invisible forces that shield our modern world. How about that? Something really interesting. But it dealing with the potential upcoming apocalypse and different things that are going on, we're digging up more stuff here and there. well, this looks like it's a major construction site, not just playing around with a swamp, because New Zealand likes to rip apart the earth for minerals and that matter. If we can, TVT, you have your hand up, my friend?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to add another source of information to that magnetic pole shift that you were talking about. I know it's been proven through science as well that through core drilling of magnetite.
Hey, where's your microphone at? Because it's really hard to hear you.
Is that better?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Through core drilling of magnetite, they can also detect the poles changing.
Oh, yeah.
At a, I think, a 12,000 year span or something like that.
It's about every 6,000 years we go through one kind of cycle. Sometimes you'll have it where you'll have just a minor excursion. Sometimes you'll have a major excursion, and sometimes you'll have an actual flip that goes on.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of I've been researching that for quite some time, ever since like 2012 was rolling around, which they did have that prediction at the Mayans. But
right.
Aside that, the only thing I could really gather the reason why that would happen is because our solar system, which is traveling around the black hole, crosses an invisible plane in space, which causes basically every pole in our solar system to flip upon crossing that plane. So that's why we get the reversal. But
yeah,
that's just kind of a theory.
Right. And the system that we're dealing with right now is called the Milankovitch cycle. That cycles describe a long-term variations in the Earth orbit and variation over time. It acts like a heartbeat of Earth's temperature. You'll see when the Earth gets warm and gets cold again. Let's see if I can bring up a picture of this really quick. I should be able to bring it up really quick since we're on this topic. Let's have fun with it. Yeah, we got more UFO news. We'll be getting there shortly. All right. Here we go. No, that's not it. Dang it, no. It used to be nice in DuckDuckGo. It used to go ahead and behave and give you the ability just to go ahead and bring up an image. Open image in new tab. Let's bring it up. So, sorry for the crappy resolution. They're calling carbon dioxide versus temperature, but you can see over the last 400,000 years, we've had a regular heartbeat of temperatures going up, temperatures going down, temperatures going up. And this is kind of where we're at now, where the temperature, after it gets so hot, the temperature just goes and plummets. So we're heading closer to that event every day. It's a bit overdue from what I understand. So let's get back to this piece here. Where is... Okay, let's bring this back here. All right, our next post going from Twitter. Let me get back here again. Solo. Okay, what do we have coming up here next from the world of Twitter? A lot of UFO news, a lot of stuff going on. So, we talked about that one. We talked about that one. We've got that one there. There should be one. All right. Did anyone hear about the Las Vegas sandstorm that happened earlier in the week? Then there was going down a long stretch in Vegas, and they saw all the different telephone poles that have been knocked over, and people are saying this doesn't look like. How could a sandstorm do something like this? Well, here's a video of it actually happening. I saw this one, and it just opened my eyes. Say, wow, holy cow, glad we could actually go ahead and actually see how the event happened, because when you see the aftermath of something like that, you're like, how in the hell could that happen? Well, at least at this point, we've got something to go ahead and look at. Now, let's get back out of here. All right. I think a lot of people in our audience can agree with this one. Gen X is between 45 to 60 years olds who look 30 to 40 years old, but mentally are still teenagers. Mike, would you call that an accurate assessment?
Very accurate.
Yeah, we're part of Gen X, so we always talk about that. Yeah, wind turbines, we wish it would be something like that going on. Yeah, no trees down. Okay, so let's get back from that bookmark and get to it. More about it. Nope, don't need to hear about. All right. Another picture of that tornado we saw from earlier last week. This is the one they were comparing to a plasma vortex. It's looking like more and more at every single day. So great. great pictures of tornadoes for us to focus on. No, we don't need to see the dogs chasing. Oh, here's another tornado that actually happened early in the chasing season this year. Just ripping stuff apart. There it is! Roofa! Yeah. There we go. Putting up a...
Here, hand it back to me. Yep. Oh, yeah!
Yeah, some people like to get in that stuff close, and wow. Let's go ahead and go past that. What else we've got? All right, this is a picture that came in this morning, I believe, 22 hours ago. Yeah, early this morning. You know how everyone's been talking about the potentiality for tsunami hitting Japan? And there's been a lot of conversation about it. Well, those earthquakes didn't bring a tsunami yet, but at this point, this is one heck of a volcano, if you ask me. Look at that explosion with the lightning and everything going at the top. Amazing. Had no idea that was going to be coming on, but, you know, looking out your window, that would not be the kind of thing you'd want to see. People are saying, here comes a tornado, shoot the rocket. Yeah, sometimes you want to do that because you're going ahead and you have sensors in the rocket and you want those sensors to get picked up or put into the tornado. Best way to do it is not to go out there and do it yourself, but to shoot it with a rocket to get into it. So again, in Japan, let's read the details about this. The powerful eruption of the volcano launched a massive ash plume about 3,000 meters into the sky, covering towns across northern Japan with ash. Roads, homes, and farmlands were buried with the gray, as the region faces some of the most intense eruption in a week of growing activity. Alert level 3 remains in effect as authorities restrict access due to flying volcanic rocks and the risk of more eruptions. Meanwhile, over 900 earthquakes are rattling the nearby Tokara Islands, signaling escalating seismic unrest across southern Japan. Yeah, gotta love volcanoes. All right, This is coming from the UAP Reporting Center, which, Mike, I have to say I am very surprised because the UAP Reporting Center does put a lot of stuff out there, but they're generally a little bit more pro than against.
Right.
What are they saying? The Bogosphere is not alien or anything mysterious. No verified chain of custody. No real scientific testing. Just a shiny metal ball with random etchings and viral hype. Cool prop? Maybe. UFO? Definitely not. And just to talk about that, all these fancy designs that are on the top and on the sides, Mike, when they first found the sphere, none of those decorations were there. How did they magically appear? Ooga booga.
No, right. We covered this.
Yeah, I know. We'll keep on covering it.
Yeah.
All right.
Bullshit. UAP Reporting Center is correct.
Well, I guess 88 years ago today, in the early morning hours of July 4th, 1947, 2 UFO craft were shot out of the sky using a classified EMP weaponry as they observed the world's only nuclear deployment station at Roswell Army Airfield. Let's go ahead and clarify that. At that time, Mike, the United States was testing some of the very first installations of Doppler radar, which uses microwave energy to image stuff. Yeah. So although they're saying it used an EMP, no, probably not an EMP. I would probably have to say what they were dealing with was more of Doppler, and potentially that is what brought down the first crash in Roswell. Yeah.
In Roswell.
Yeah.
The microwave radar seems to have destabilized those 2 craft.
They weren't counting on it, were they?
No, they weren't expecting that at all.
Yeah.
But that's an old story. This is covering ancient history. And
I know, but turn back the times of clock to 88 years ago today. It's like the perfect thing for Casey Kasem to talk about.
I just don't understand why they're still trying to push bullshit narrative stories about Roswell this far into the future.
Well, this isn't a bullshit story. I actually agree with this because I've heard about this a long time ago, and it's an anniversary. When something happens on a particular day and it's that day of the year, you don't have shit to bring up. Let's talk about the people who died. let's talk about, what events happened in the past. And this kind of ties to everything for us, I think.
Yeah, but we didn't intentionally bring those craft down. That happened entirely accidentally due to the Doppler radar, like you pointed out.
Yeah. We really wanted to image those crafts, though. So do we knowingly point it towards those crafts that may have been taking those patterns earlier? Yeah. Did we think we were going to bring it down? Probably not.
No.
But I'd love to see what the radar saw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the government probably is going to claim they deleted all of those records.
Yeah. But hey, we've got good things to look forward to. Coming from Bill Gates. Due to advanced AI, humans will no longer be needed. Will we still need humans? Well, not for most things, but we'll decide. Is this why Microsoft is laying off 9,000 people, Mike? But it's mostly video game studios that they're getting rid of right now, at least from what I've heard. Even John Romero's studio, who's doing some stuff for Microsoft, probably, or either Microsoft or Activision. Remember Quake and Doom? That's the guys whose studios was shut down by Microsoft. Now, don't worry. Although 9,000 people may have been terminated from their jobs, hey, they've put out 5,000 or 6,000 H-1Bs for people they want to bring into the country.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Microsoft's been doing that for a long time. Yeah. All right. Oh, yeah, here we go. There is no freedom. We are here for your souls. Oh, that is a grim look.
A little bit.
I saw it, but you know what? It's a smoking man. Look at that.
Yeah. There you go.
I wonder, that's probably Marlboro or Camel based on it. I don't see that blue tip. They don't like menthols.
No. Doesn't seem like they do.
So, They might have. They should have. All right, we got that. Why did I get back down here? Another bug we're running into. Don't need to see the dogs. Okay, I can play a couple seconds of this. It looks like a panda, but it's not a panda. It's a dog.
Wow.
Don't go touch us. Oh,
that's cute.
Oh, gotta love dogs. There we go. That's creepy. None. Love it. Gotta thank TikTok for having stupid videos. All right. God damn it. And I lost it again. Why is it I keep on going out of the book? You know what it is? I got out of the bookmarks. Let's look for the smoking man. All right. And our next clip we've got coming up, Mike. This is a clip that's coming out. This is actually a 6-minute clip. It's not the full one that's 12 minutes long, but we have a clip coming from the Seoul Forum where we have former CIA operations officer Jim Semivan has now corroborated David Grush's allegations and outlined in detail how UFO secrecy may have originated in the 1940s. In a recent video from the Seoul Foundation, he explains who was involved here, who was involved in establishing the cover-up, which organizations came into possession of recovered UAP NHI materials, and how the secrecy has persisted for over 80 years. Let's go ahead and jump onto this one and watch this clip coming to us from Disclosure Party. Thank you very much for sharing this with everybody. Let me get into the tweet here over on X. Let's go ahead and play this clip and see where it takes us.
And imagine.
Hold on. Here we go, everybody.
Let's rewind for a second and imagine historically, and imagine that it's the 1940s or 50s, and some events take place that result in some high-level executive branch decision, probably a presidential decision to impose secrecy over this. What do you think that looked like? Because if we understand that, we might understand what could be dealt with in the present, and the part of this that might be too confusing to deal with.
Yeah. That's an excellent question. Let me just get a plug for Dave Grush for a second. I like David Grush, and what he talked about, I believe to be absolutely accurate. And I'm going to leave that hanging out there. Okay. So when I talk about my idea, hypothetically, what probably happened, let's say you're Truman, the war's just ended, you drop the atom bomb. You also know that you have information regarding alien craft or non-human craft that you've had, say, in the 30s, early 40s, when really it first became known. And then you have the incident at Roswell and at Kingman and other places. And the Army Air Force comes up to you and says, no question, these things are real. They can't be. They're not Chinese. I mean, China was a basket case back then, as was the Soviet Union. Total basket cases. There's no way that that would be their technology. And of course, we knew what we had, right? We knew our own technology. So you're presented with this, and some general comes up to you and he tells you, oh boy, we don't know what this is, but it's not us, and it's probably going to be from outside the solar system or inside the solar system. We really don't know. And they don't have a very sophisticated view of this at the time, right? Now, America is pretty agrarian at the time, right? Our communication systems are crappy, to say the least. Again, you're too young to remember party lines and all kind of stuff like that, but I remember them very clearly. So you're worried about panic, and you want to sort of dampen that down. And you also don't want another Pearl Harbor. So Truman or Eisenhower created in 1947, so it would probably be Eisenhower. Now,
just to add to that, Lou Elizondo before had kind of gotten to the point and talked about that we don't want to have, what's going on with the UAPs and how we're being exposed, and the events that are going on, how we're turning a blind eye to it, is somewhere, I believe he had said, equivalent to Pearl Harbor and 9/11 combined. So let's play more.
No, Truman created the National Security Act, where we created, the Central Intelligence Agency, National Security Council, Department of Defense, Joint Chiefs of Staff. I mean, that was all an outcome of World War II. I mean, it was this need to consolidate information and intelligence so nothing bad happens to us. But yet you have this problem, and it's getting worse because people are starting to see these all the time, these craft all the time. And it's clogging up telecommunication systems. People were worried about it. And it was a true concern back in the day. They were also concerned that the Russians would use it, to basically screw up the Soviet Union, to screw up our own communication systems by putting false information out there about UFOs and what have you. So they can, attack us. And very, very real concerns. I mean, we were very, very concerned about Russia and having to fight.
Really quick, Mike. That analysis that you just kicked out there right now with regards to what Russia was thinking, that's probably based on our counterintelligence assessments of what we think Russia was thinking more than what they were actually trying to do.
Oh, back then, absolutely. Yeah.
Just want to point that out really quick. Yeah.
Good point.
Here we go.
Or Soviet Union having to fight a war with them right after World War II. So what do? Well, you look around and you say, well, somebody's got to look into this. So is it going to be the Air Force? Is it going to be this new organization I made, CIA? Is it going to be the National Security Council? Do I give it to, another entity, the Army, the Navy? But you decide on probably, and you don't need a lot of imagination to decide where this landed. All right. There are certain organizations that have a certain charter to do this, and that's where it landed. And it landed with two main groups, and an intelligence organization and a DOD organization. And then you had to determine, how do we keep this secret? How do we not discuss this? Because we cannot. This is even more important than the Manhattan Project. How do we keep, of course, what the Russians knew what we were doing all along, but how do we keep this important? So you basically say, well, the way to do that is really give it to private organizations, particularly the defense contractors, which were, sort of a new thing, right? And let them work this out. Let's not give everything to one. Let's split it up and give each one a separate problem, and let's work on this. And then you determine, how am I going to keep this a secret? So there was such a thing. It was created during the Eisenhower administration, called the Presidential Emergency Action Documents. And very, very little is known about them. But I've known about them for years. And they give the president an extraordinary amount of power regarding extraordinary circumstances that may affect the United States for any kind of reason, whether it's a war or an invasion of some type. It allows the president to do things that normally he would have to go through Congress or the judicial branch to do. So it gives them that leeway. And there's a lot of these PEADs that have been out there, and they're always classified, at least as a secret level. Many of them top secret. But it's my opinion that Eisenhower created a PEAD and basically said, this information is never going out. It's going to stay exactly where it is till we can get a handle on it. And I think that's exactly where it's been for the last 80 years. And I don't think, my personal opinion, is they have much of a handle on it. I think they've been able to glean information, from this, from, downcraft and other things, biologics, if you want to call them that, and possible communication with NHI. But I don't think, I think they were able to extrapolate, some information and maybe create some new technologies that are out there. But as far as having the technological understanding of say a downed UAP craft, I just can't see that.
Right.
Even be.
But let's.
Interesting conversation, Mike. That's the first half of the interview from the Seoul conference, and bringing Jim Semivan forward. It's nice to see Seoul actually stepping up in this particular manner, using their platform of science and trying to bring things forward, making sure what they're bringing forward aligns with stuff, and to bring together, the right questions and the right guests. And I would probably think that the credibility of the people who, Saul is bringing forward, not to say that any other live streams or other people aren't being credible. They're not funded by the big billionaires. They're not worried about an audience. They're worried about bringing out the truth.
Right. Things like Semivan was covering from the historical aspect of how this began and where it came from and who was in charge at the time. So very interesting information. It's accurate, what he's talking about. We've looked into this. We're well aware of the Presidential Emergency Action Decree, the PED, and we know that President Harry S. Truman, who, when Roosevelt died, was president from 45 to 53. And then Eisenhower took over in January of 1953, which means Truman ultimately was the one directly responsible for the creation of the Central Intelligence Agency in 47, the National Security Act in 1947, the Air Force, all of these things that we have had as obstacles till today.
Right.
And Eisenhower took over in 53, and then in 54, we got the Atomic Energy Act, which further buried and covered up the UAP subject from prying eyes.
Well, it locked it up even more than what they had before with initially developing the atomic bomb. They locked down the information so much that now if any information is requested by anybody, you have to get a signature from the president for the approval for that release of the information, the head of the Department of Energy, and the head of the CIA. Granted, you could get those people to sign off on everything, but that's just for one FOIA request to find stuff. So and it's basically, what we're doing in here is we're not discussing anything because it's a matter of what?
National security.
Bingo. And that's the excuse they use time and time again. I mean, you got Ross Coulthart talking, we couldn't bring stuff forward because
would
to
violate
jeopardize national security. We've heard that from Lou a lot. We've heard that from a lot of people. But it seems to be, if we're talking about anything to dealing with these craft or anything that go, why are they here? What are they doing? We don't care about how the craft is made. We couldn't give a rat's ass about the power systems, the energy, or anything. We want to know why the hell are they here? I don't think we even care who the hell are they. Tell us why you're here and what the hell you're doing here and what you have been doing here. That's what we need to know. Unless I'm missing the boat on this one. Because the craft itself and the energy systems, its abilities of all the different stuff, talk like it's a freaking fairy. Okay, the fairy. Bijou, the fairies can freaking fly in. They can go invisible. They can come back. Sometimes you'll see two of them when there's really one. They play tricks with your eyes. Use a language that is universally acceptable. Get it away from any kind of an adversarial thing and deal with what did they used to have in the stories back in the day? They had the stories, the legends of the jinn.
Yes, very well aware of that.
Yeah.
But the jinn were considered to be evil spirits from ancient times. I'm well aware of the mythology behind it.
Yeah, but
I'm here. Let the bells ring out and the banners fly. Feast your eyes on me. It's too.
Yeah. They're here. They have been here. And it's just being able to realize, God, yeah, there was a bunch of great stuff going on X today, at least. There was another one I had. Let's see if I've got this here. Okay. Get to you 1 second, Brian. You know what? Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I was just going to say, jumping off of that argument, we've hashed this out, Thomas and Mike and everybody in the back chat for years now, that it would always come from the executive branch. I'm starting to waver and starting to feel that it's either going to come from private hands or another country, and I'd be curious, Thomas or Mike, to get your opinion on that.
Well, if other countries have been researching this and they've been trying to figure it out, right?
Well, we already know they have because of Gene Sticko.
I'm just talking about an if scenario for safety reasons, if you know what I mean. So if this other country in the world had access to this information and had been doing research on it and was damn sure based on what they found, let's call it scientists, maybe working for a government, making up, but they've got something and it's real, right?
Right.
The first one who really brings this stuff forward will go down in the world history books, period. Everyone will look to these people as leaders in it. So it comes in, do you at one point become a leader? Or are you just going to stay as
Would you consider that credible and
or be a Me Too?
Thomas? Would you consider that credible and urgent, as the ICIG did?
A credible and urgent threat that a foreign power could bring this information forward, and the United States has had it for a period of time. Some of our information may have been stolen and taken to foreign countries to help jumpstart some of their things going on, because that seems to happen on a regular basis. We just don't hear about it enough, right? So would it be in our strategic position to go ahead and make the claim? Yeah. I think any organization, company that would go ahead and do it, and we're going to get beyond. Trust me, bro. Not that I don't love everybody who's bringing the information, things going on. I love it, but we're at a point where is this in pieces? We need to know how. Well, this is a keyboard. What happens behind the seeds of the keyboard? We don't need to understand how the stuff works. All we care about is so it's, how do I put this? Again, why are they here? What are they doing? And the thing is, if it's so bad and scary or potentially of what it is that could freak people out, even if that would prevent them from even acknowledging that they're here and then disclosing to humanity what the hell they are doing here. Yeah. All right. Ashes, go ahead.
Recently, I did a deep dive into Jack Parsons. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay, he is talking about dead people.
Right.
He is basically the founder of Jet Propulsion Labs. He was studying Aleister Crowley.
Right.
And he was really interested in science, and so he was casting like spells and practicing magic, and he got inspiration from the other side, allegedly, to come up with ideas for the jet propulsion systems,
right,
and the fuel to use. And so he got involved with the government, and because that was like the golden age of flying.
Right.
And so
We
they
got
were
you. Hey,
starting to
tell you what,
transition.
before we jump into something really big and deep, let's you and I talk about this so I can get up to speed on and can interact with this conversation more. But plus, it sounds like something we could have as a really nice big topic to talk about on the show.
Sure, yeah. I was
Yeah,
just
Crowley is not amazing. There's a bunch of interesting stories with using different forms of meditation and different practices that they were going and connecting with entities across this dimension or whatever it is. That's been one of the concerns about potentially the stuff we're doing with heavy duty meditation. You got to be careful of the Pandora's box that you open.
Right. And so I was making the connection now because it's 4th of July, and all the rockets that are zooming up in the air. And then also, maybe it's the government's dirty little secret, because I know, like with Jack Parsons, maybe the reason you haven't heard about him is because he was basically erased out of history because of his connections and what he did with the occult.
Right. I had no idea. It sounds like an in-depth topic to really dive into.
It's pretty interesting, so I will. I'll hit you up on it later. But
hang on after the show. Let's figure it out maybe on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just don't want to go so far. We still have some other things to cover and everything like this. I just want to make sure we've got it, and plus, I want to make sure your conversation gets the attention it deserves.
I always appreciate you and Mike's support and the DT family. So, and thank you everybody for being here tonight. I think it's really cool. We all showed up on the 4th of July.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And thank you for being here, my dear lady, as well. All right. I've got going here. Next video wanted to get up. You should check this out. This is something I saw over on X today. And it has all the telltale signs of being fake. Let's just go ahead and bring it up. So somewhere like Hawaii, somewhere you've got a beach, you can see cargo ships off in the distance, right? Some lightning going on. He said, look behind you.
Insane.
So he's just looking at what's going on, talking about the situation.
Whoa, did you see that just shoot across?
Okay. Let's go back. I want to see. We're not getting consistent going across. It's going across and coming in. However, it's kind of bobbing a bit, but I don't think the human eye would be able to pick this up, let alone go ahead and articulate it instantly.
Whoa, did you see that just shoot across? Did anyone else see that?
What do you think? Real or fake? Let me ask you.
Thomas, we talked about this.
the human eye can see an object moving up to what, about 1,000 miles an hour? That's it?
Yeah.
Right. So if this thing is moving above that, there's no way in hell he saw it with his naked eyes.
Right.
So you're right about that.
It's a concern, but in this kind of a situation, let me go ahead and jump in. Let's do one more poll. Tropical UFO sighting. I'll call it real. Fake. Everything kind of just ties into it, but it goes by so fast. You're holding the phone. You don't move your phone. You're not doing anything. It's completely steady, even when you're asking the person, unless the person who's videotaping is not the person who is talking. So, think about Nicky when he saw this stuff, how he reacted, right?
He was shocked.
Yeah, exactly. So let me go ahead and get this. Is it real or is it fake? Easy enough. It's out there. Let's go ahead and ask the audience. I mean, it reminds me that I've got another one like this that was cut up a while back where there was a donut-looking UFO they saw in the sky. When you dissect the video and go through it, sometimes it lines up, sometimes it doesn't. Our audience right now is about split. We're at 42% to 58%. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute.
All right, 1 minute, starting now.
All right, we've got 57 seconds left to go ahead and go on this. We got 33 votes in. Can we hit 50? Can we hit 75? Would love to have our audience go ahead and participate because this is kind of a situation where we're seeing the information coming up, but we'd love to hear what our audience actually thinks. And usually I'll go ahead and run with whatever the audience says, whether I like it or not. Let's take a look. We have 300 viewers on the show right now. Come on, folks. I know we don't have that many people in chat, but I'd love to hear what you have to think. There we go. Real is up to 47%. Fake is about 53%. It's almost a straight 50-50 with just 21 seconds left to go. We got 50 votes in. At least we hit there. Great. Can we hit 60? Come on, 15 seconds left to go. Maybe not. 50-50. Look at that. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop it. Take a picture of it for posterity. End the poll. There we go. Results are in. There we go, Mike. 47 to 53. Taking the margin of error.
Yeah, it's right down the middle.
It's right down the middle.
Yes, sir.
So for me, knowing that how fast now, but if you look at the speed of the cars going, is it going to show up? I'll show up in a second. Everybody else see that. It's such a brief. Did it again. Damn it. I go ahead and move the image around. Where's it at? There it is. Okay. Now, make it a bit larger. Bring it down now. There we go. Let's bring it right there. Shrink it down a little bit more. So let's look at this side to side. Get this any larger? Yeah, I can. Use it that way. Take a look at it. Okay. The other thing I'm seeing here, which isn't making sense, is if this craft is moving and it's going to be going at a constant rate to the observer, right? the overall distance between where the object is on that frame to where they are going to be at the next frame should be consistent. Does that make sense? So the amount of distance we're seeing from here to here should be at the same distance from here to here, but it almost looks like it's doubled. And same way on this one here. We've got this one here. It's going. So if anything, what this is saying, the object is going like this and then going away. It's not turning, not going up or down. You're seeing that dash as it moves from place to place. But to have it to where the object itself, from going from here to here, that first clip that we're doing, the distance that goes between right here to right here. Okay. And then, but this one here, this one here, to that one there, the amount of space that there is of blank space between the two frames, it's almost 3 times as much. Which means it would have to be a hell of a lot closer, right, Mike?
Oh, without a doubt.
And if you're dealing with a craft like this, you know what we found? The speed is usually consistent.
Of course. It has to be.
Right. I had to jump into this.
Oh, I get it. It's a good clip.
Yeah. Well, the audience deserves it.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, gosh, yes, absolutely. I think looking at the clocks of where we're at is, let me look at anything that you know what, Mike, we're going to be having a show tomorrow, though, aren't we?
Yes, sir. We certainly will be.
Yeah.
Having a special guest, so it's going to be a good show.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, great conversation. Talking more in depth about this craft that was someone saw 22 years ago.
Decades ago.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Look forward to getting the down and dirty details. You know, it'd be great if we could get Ivan's client on, even in a anonymous manner.
Well, we certainly can approach Ivan when he comes on tomorrow.
Oh, of course, yeah.
See what he thinks.
Oh, gosh, yes. Absolutely. Should be fun. So happy 4th of July, everybody. Mike, happy 4th of July. Yeah.
Happy 4th of July to you too, my friend, and to everyone in the audience. Nice of them to come join us for the celebration.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Friday night show. Yeah. It's good conversation.
Oh, gosh, yes, my friend. Great conversation. Got some great support from our audience tonight. Adrienne, Jared, Verndude, Shelley Montgomery, thank you very much for everyone for your love and support of Disclosure tonight. We are a fan-funded program, and every little frickin' dollar that goes in the kitty, every penny counts. Thank you very much, everybody. Ashes on Air, Brian Pemble, Gringo Suave, and Dragon, thank you very much for your super chat. And then Mr. Grimlock, of course, and starting it off, was an anonymous Rex. There was actually someone who we got before that, and I don't know why. No, it used to allow me to do a pop-up to show the funding of. Wait a second. Top chat. Hold on. There we go. Mr. Catfish 2100 actually started out the super chats last night. Had another encounter last night. You're Mr. Catfish 2100. Do me a favor. Jump in the back. Let's connect if you're around, my friend. I'd seen your email. Forgot to reply to it, but let's connect, my friend. Thank you, everyone, for your love and support again of everything we do here at Disclosure tonight. And Mike, as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, if I can find it, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody. But
go back to Party City where you belong.
Unfortunately, Party City's out of business. We'll have to think of something else to say here. So take care, everybody. Love you. Y'all come back now. Catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.